Do. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and we are here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the day that the Lord has made. We are rejoicing. We are glad in it. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you're coming on, joining me live, please do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know your boy, my squad. We are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you would be so kind, I would love for you to put in the comments what city you're watching your boy from. Who are you representing today? I want you to put in the comments who you're representing today. I want to welcome all of you to the Ramonepreston Show. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I also want to say congratulations to all of you who have either joined our Millionaire Mentorship program, or perhaps you are a student in our Millionaire Blueprint. Either way, I want to say congratulations to you. For the past 2 weeks now, we've extended an offer to our community to join us for a 1-year Millionaire Mentorship program. That offer is coming to an end, and we wanted to give all of you an opportunity to join that Millionaire Mentorship program, especially if you're looking for a coach, you're looking for someone to help mentor you and to give you the guidance, the tools and the strategies that you need to get to where it is you want to be. So if you haven't taken me up on that, I'm going to give you an opportunity to reach out to me today, because that offer is coming to an end. So again, please put in the comments what city you're watching me from. I am going to do my best to share some very important information with you. Good afternoon to all of you. If this is your first time watching the Ramonepreston Show, let me just take a moment and say welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you don't know, I'm your host, Ramonepreston. Every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon, I show up here literally in the middle of our workday to give you some information, to share things with you that I know if you use them, you could really start, structure, and scale any business, any income stream. So if you're looking for creative ways to make more money, if you're trying to figure out what the best route is you need to take to like literally structure your business and scale your business, I share a lot of information with you that I know you could use to help you. All right. So today, I'm really going to take a few minutes to talk about some facts with regard to the poor, the middle, and the upper class. I don't know if you've followed me long enough to see the diagram that my team and we've created to really explain and to give you a visual description of what the income classes look like in the United States of America. So I'll just blow this screen up so that you could take a look at it behind me. But if you can see this screen behind me, this screen represents 3 primary income classes. Okay, this is a ladder of success. That's what we use it to explain the 3 main income classes, because I'm going to be talking about this today. I want to share with you some facts about the poor class, facts about the middle class, and facts about the upper class. So again, if you see this diagram behind me, maybe I got it blowed up a little too much that you can't really see it, but if you could see that, there are 3 main income classes, okay? We have the poor class, we have the middle, which has 3 levels, and then we have the upper, which represents 4 levels, okay? So that's red, that's the yellow, and that's the green. So this ladder that we're looking at, it represents 100% of households in the United States of America. Is this like the approximate number? Is this like the most accurate depiction and description of income classes in the United States? No, we all know that. You could Google income classes and you're probably gonna see different information. So it's not like this is the picture perfect explanation and description. It's my way of at least bringing a condensed form of data to you so that you can at least see like where you are economically. And it's not just where you are economically, it's really where you are mentally, where you are spiritually, where you are environmentally, and it might even be where you are where you are professionally. So this makes up 100% of households in America. All right. So out of 100% of households in America, 29% make up the poor class. And this is not disrespectful. This is not to demean anyone or to make anybody feel bad. It's really to just heighten your awareness to see where am I on the broader economic spectrum. And I talked about this last week in one of our shows that you got to be willing to admit where you are and accept that where you are is not where you want to be. So admission is big. If you want to grow in life, if you want to change in life, if you want to do anything of value in life, a lot of times it begins with you just admitting where you are. Like admitting that, you know what, here's where I am, and I'm here because I don't know enough, and I'm going to take responsibility for that. And then I'm going to accept that where I am is not where I want to be. I want to be somewhere else. I want to have a different quality of life. Okay, so out of 100% of households in America, 29% make up the poor class. You are categorically poor if you make $32,000 or less. I know people who make more than $32,000 and they still poor. They're poor financially, and they're poor in many other areas, but more specifically when it comes to their finances, they just don't have it. You get what I'm saying? All right, 70% of households in America make up the middle. So you have the lower middle, you got the middle of the middle, you got upper middle class. So if you make 32K to 60K a year, you would be considered lower middle class. If you make 60K to 110, you would be considered middle of the middle. And if you make 110 or more, just shy of 400 grand, you would be considered upper middle class. And then you have 1% of households in America that make 400K and up, all right? And so my goal today is to share some facts with you about these three income classes with the hope and expectation that you would admit where you are and take responsibility for where you are and understand that wherever you are in light of this diagram, it is because of a lack of information. It may be some environmental issues. Of course, I'm a black man, so I already know there are some racial issues here. There are some political issues. There are some social issues. But we don't want to just push everything into the race issue or to the political issue or to the social issue. We want to at least admit that, okay, outside of the racial, the political, and the social issues that make these income classes what they are, I have to admit that there are some issues with my education. There are some things that I have to start learning. There are some things that I have to start developing in. And I have to work on my environmental issues, my professional issues or limitations, and I've got to work on my financial issues, okay? So those are some of the things that you can control. It's some things that have existed to create this diagram that you see. There are some things that you can't control, all right? There are some racial issues that are beyond your control. Some of the systemic issues that we deal with, social issues and political issues, some of these things are beyond your control. So I'm not going to live my whole life trying to control the narrative of other people's racial issues, the narrative of other people's social issues, the narrative of other people's political issues that they try to use and infiltrate through things to keep me stuck at a certain income class. I'm going to acknowledge them. I know that they exist, but I'm not going to let them imprison me and create a victim in me to the point that I'm not able to take control over the things that I can control. I can control the environmental limitations that I have. I can control that. Whether that means I got to make sacrifices and move away from people, or whether I just got to check out mentally so that I don't let my environment affect me, I still can control that. All right? I can control my personal and my professional and my financial limitations. If I have personal limitations because of how I was raised or because of what I experienced in my teenage life, I have to take responsibility to control that. If I have certain professional issues where I don't have the skill set to do certain things, I can control that. That's in my control. If I have certain financial issues or limitations, I can really control that. And again, this is a big conversation that I think a lot of us need to have, and we probably need to have it among ourselves. Okay, so I'm really leaning in on this because a lot of you that watch me and follow me, you're probably black, and you're probably a Christian, or you have some type of faith-based foundation in your life. If that's the case, I want to just take a moment to help you understand something, okay? I want you to understand that when you look at, let's say, this diagram that represents the income classes in America, right? Okay, when you look at this, you can associate this, or where you are on this diagram, you can associate it to the racial issues that we have in America. You can associate it to the political issues we have in America. You can associate it to the social issues we have in America. And literally, those three issues are really barriers and systemic things that have been created with infrastructures. But at a certain point, you can't hang your entire life on the hinges of racial, political, and social barriers. Now, you might not agree with me. Maybe you do agree with me. But I'm telling you, at a certain point in your life, the life that you're living right now, you have to take full responsibility, not for the racial or the social or the political issues that have been infiltrated through systemic structures and systems and barriers that have forced people into certain economic classes. You don't have to take responsibility for that, because some of that you really can't control that. You don't control social structures. You don't control political structures. You don't control the racial structures. However, outside of those limitations and barriers, you can control your own personal, your own environmental, your own professional, your own financial limitations. You can control that. You cannot tell me you can't control it, because if you can't control it, or if we can't control those things, I wouldn't be in front of this camera talking to you right now. Okay? I was raised in poverty. My parents were addicted to crack cocaine. My mom, who was a crack addict, gave me to my grandmother, who was a poor woman living in a black community trying to raise a biracial child. 3 biracial children, me and my 2 siblings. Okay? I became addicted to drugs and alcohol and selling dope and criminal activity at a very young age. By the time I was 13, 14 years old, I was a full-fledged drug dealer, a young dope boy, a street hustler, an addict, alcohol and nicotine and marijuana and cocaine abuser on a day-to-day basis. And my whole teenage life was surrounded by going in and out of jail, living on the streets, selling dope every day, getting high, committing crimes, living a life as a drug addicted criminal. All right. And I lived that way up until 21 years of age, which is when I got saved in a trap house. And then when I left that trap house, saved, spiritually transformed, I had to make a decision to do something with my life, okay? With the help of God, with the help of His Holy Spirit, with the help of the Bible, I was able to literally pull up my bootstraps and figure out this thing called life. And at that point, at 21 years old, when I came out of that trap house and got saved through this supernatural encounter, I didn't go to a church, I didn't go to a revival. It was just something like Paul the Apostle experienced on his road to Damascus. But I'm sharing this with you because at that point, at 21 years old, when I knew something happened to me spiritually and I no longer had a desire to live a life as a drug addicted criminal, I didn't know what to do with my life. I had no education. I hadn't graduated school. I had a criminal background. I didn't even have a driver's license at 21 years old. I had nowhere to stay. I had nothing. Okay. And now I'm just having this spiritual experience at 21 years old, and I'm trying to figure out, man, what do I do with my life right now? And when I started talking to Christians and church people, because I started attending church, the only thing they could tell me was, well, you need to cut your hair, you need to pull your britches up, you need to get a job, and you need to just be a good person. And I'm like, man, all right, well, let me try that. So I'm sharing this with you because at a certain point, we can acknowledge the racial, the social, and the political issues that we have that have subjected us as a people to certain qualities of life, which for the most part, those racial and those social and political issues have pushed us below the poverty line, many of us. However, the environmental limitations that we have, the personal limitations that we have, the professional limitations that we have, and the financial limitations that we have, we can control the narrative of those things and the outcome of them. And if you don't believe that, then you're proving to me and to yourself and others that there's a mentality you have been programmed to accept as yours, which has hindered you from even believing you can climb this income ladder. Now, if you agree with me, you should be putting something in the comments to let your boy know, bro, listen, man, I agree with what you're saying. What you're saying is real. It makes sense and it's true. And so I'm all about acknowledging the racial, the social, and the political issues that we have. But I'm also all about taking responsibility for my own personal limitations, taking responsibility for my own environmental limitations, taking responsibility for my own professional limitations and my own financial limitations, because I have proven from the time I got saved in a trap house at 21 to where I am right now, which has been a 25-year journey, I've proven within the last 25 years that you can come from below poverty. You could come from a drug-addicted background with crackhead parents and totally limited beliefs and totally limited activities and never experiencing anything of substantial value. And you can work your way through those things to climb this ladder, to get yourself into the green with no college degree. I don't have a college degree. All the degrees that are on my wall and in certificate forms, in my cabinets and files, these are all things that have been endowed upon me because of my body of work being recognized by institutions and schools and different groups who have acknowledged what I've accomplished within the last 25 years. But I'm self-educated, okay? And I've figured out how to get out of the red and the yellow into the green. And I've helped a lot of people to make this transition as well. And I'm telling you, despite the racial, the political, and the social limitations and systems and infrastructures that have been designed to subject people like me to a certain income class, I have figured out how to make that transition. So we all have to acknowledge that, yes, there are racial issues. Yes, there are social issues. Yes, there are political issues. Nevertheless, I cannot allow my racial, my social, and my political issues to subject me to a lifestyle that doesn't match my potential. Are you feeling me? So you have to make that transition. Now, let's talk about some facts about the poor, the middle, and the upper class. Which, by the way, if you agree with me, I want you to put it in the comments what you agree with me on. If you agree with me on that, I want you to put in the comments what you agree with me on. Because I know a lot of y'all, you using these lame excuses about, man, you know, the white man holding me down, and, you know, the system is rigged, and, man, I just can't get a foot forward. It's not that you don't have systems and infrastructures that haven't been built to keep you down racially or politically or socially. It's just that you've allowed yourself to adopt and to live by a mentality that those limitations are the only things that control the narrative of your life. Let me show you this again. All right. These income classes don't just represent 100% of households in America. These income classes don't just represent, they don't just represent a financial status based on your income or your business revenue. These income classes represent a mentality. These income classes represent, of course, racial, social, and political limitations, but these income classes also represent environmental limitations that you and I control the narrative of. I can control what environments I'm in. I can control what rooms I get into. I can control who I'm gonna be around. I can control what places I'm going to allow to be a part of the quality of my life. So this ladder of success represents the environmental limitations you as a person control. It also represents the personal limitations you control. So again, if I came from living a life as a drug addicted criminal for the first 21 years, and within the last 25 years with no formal education, a criminal background longer than I-95, a drug addicted past, parents who have died and who have gone on, who were drug addicts just about their whole life, a family of crime and substance abuse and criminal activity, if I can pull my way through and educate myself and work my way to the green, then the political and social and racial limitations that have been built into systems and infrastructures to keep me down, they don't control the narrative of my life. I've proven that. But I've had to take responsibility for the environmental limitations, the personal limitations, the professional limitations. Bruh, you got to learn something. If you still thinking and talking and moving like you did 25 years ago, what you think gonna happen? Truth is, I work with clients on a day-to-day basis who want to be successful, who want to get in this green, who want to do big things. And guess what? They still thinking like they thought before the pandemic. If you're just thinking like you thought in 2020, you done already lost, bruh. Sis, you done already fell off. So you got to pull yourself out of that environmentally, personally, professionally, and financially. So this don't just represent households and moolah, baby. This represents a mentality. It represents what you're willing to admit and take responsibility for, that, you know what? I don't know enough to be in the green. I had to make that decision. So after 20 years, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. So when I got to 2017, and me and my wife had a sit down, we was 14 years into being full-time entrepreneurs. And I'm like, we making six figures at the time. So we was like, where was we in 2017? I think 2017, me and my wife, we were right here. We were somewhere, we were floating around the 110 to 150, maybe 180 a year. Me and my wife both. This is 2017. And it's like, bang, something hit me. Bro, what you doing? Dog, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you, do you think this is living? You got a couple luxury cars, you got a nice house, little acreage, you got a building for your admin and for your church and for your business. Like, but bro, you ain't doing nothing, dog. You ain't really hitting it. And that's when it hit me like, wait a minute. I'm thinking like this income class. And to some extent, to some extent, I'm thinking like these. And this is not to say this in a disrespectful way. This is just to heighten your awareness on where you at and where you should be thinking about being. You should be thinking about, how can I get up here? How can I get up here? Okay? So I want to make sure we clarify that. I want to make sure we clarify that. And again, you may disagree with what I'm saying. You may feel like, bruh, everything you saying sounds good, but you out of touch with the real people. You out of touch with the plight of our people. No, I ain't. You saying that because you trying to justify something. I ain't out of touch with nothing. I'm not out of touch with real people that got real issues. I understand. So let's look at some facts about the poor, the middle, the upper class. Here's some facts about the poor. The poor class are not the majority. There are more middle class people than there are poor class people. This fact should inspire poor class people to remain the minorities, but just in the 1%. Okay, so let's go back. I just told you, the poor class are not the majority. It's only 29% of households that are considered poor class. Okay, the majority is the 70%. And most of the middle class, they really live worse than the poor class. Here's another fact. The poor class know they are poor. Poor class people are typically aware of their financial situation, and they know that it's bad. You don't have to remind a poor person that they're poor, especially when their conditions remind them every day. So you don't have to remind a poor person that they're poor. The poor class can easily become enabled by support. This is another fact about poor people, okay, or the poor class. Since there are systems and governments and organizations that support the poor class, they can easily become enabled by support. This can also result in being disabled from pursuing financial freedom. So I talk to a lot of people who are categorically in the poor class, and because of systems and governments and governmental agencies and organizations, they have to be forced to stay in the poor class in order to get benefits. So it essentially enables them to not break through to become financially free. Here's another fact about the poor class. The poor class are not poor in mind or ideas or potential. I know this to be true because I live below the poverty line. So I wasn't necessarily poor in my mind and my ideas and my potential, at least not in my potential. I just wasn't clear on it. I didn't have anybody to mentor me, to direct me, to help me. And so I lived my life as a drug addicted criminal all the way up until 21. And even when I stopped getting high, running the streets, and got saved and got clean, I still didn't have the right people around me. Even though I wasn't doing those things anymore, I was still living beneath my potential because everybody was telling me at the time I came out the streets just to go get a job. Cut your hair, go get a job. Don't club, don't sleep around. I'm like, bro, I already know all those things not to do, but what can I do positive to increase the quality of my life? Here's another fact about the poor. Most millionaires come from the poor class, or what we may say as humble beginnings. Statistics show that most millionaires are first-generation millionaires who started their financial journey from poverty. Let me tell you something. If you're listening to me and you really taking in what I'm saying, you should be inspired by the fact that statistics show most millionaires are first generation millionaires. So most of the people who make it here, most of the people who make it here, I want you to understand this. Most of the people who come from way down here and way up here, most of these people, do you understand what this fact is saying? Most of these people are first generation millionaires, meaning that ain't nobody gave them no handout. Ain't nobody showed them the game, gave them the ropes, co-signed for them, gave them a loan, pushed some capital in their direction, opened some doors for them, connected them to some people. Most millionaires scrapped it out. They educated themselves. They got in the right rooms. They got the right information and data. They put it to practice. They became relentless in their pursuit to be free, because for them, it wasn't just about money. It was about the free. It was about financial freedom. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so we don't want to be stuck here. And we're not going to disrespect the people here, but we want to respectfully heighten the awareness of the poor class so that they can see you're the minority. You're not the majority, because your goal should not even be to get in the middle class. Your goal should be to do this, to go from the 29% minority to becoming the 1% minority. All right? Does that make sense? All right? Okay, so let's look at some facts about the middle class. The middle class is the hardest hit economically. So studies show that the middle class are treated like they're well off, but they're living like they're falling off. They are generally denied the benefits of the poor class, but they can't afford the necessities of the upper class. So see, this is the deception. Let me clean my board up a little bit. This is the deception about the middle class. If you just listen to that fact, the deception with the middle class is the middle class, the people here, they live like they in the green, but the truth is they worse off than the people in the red. I know people who are considered to be middle class people who cannot even get the benefits that the poor class get, and they need them more than people in the poor class, because the middle class is the hardest hit. I just told someone this the other day after church. The young man asked me, he said, do you think there's an attack on the American economy? And, I was like, no, which it may be, but I was like, no. And he was like, what? I was like, no. I said, I think it's an attack on the middle class, because a lot of the wealth is tied up in retirement plans, 401ks, IRAs, pensions, equity and stocks and stuff like that, which is mostly owned by this group of people. So this group of people, they're under attack because they're going to be losing a lot of that. They're already losing a lot of that wealth. They just don't know it. They think 30 years down the road, because people keep kicking that can, and the people who kick the can is the people who are in like the top 1%. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the middle class is the hardest hit. Fact number two about the middle class. The middle class live like the rich, but economically, they're like the poor. Middle class people buy things they can't afford to live like the rich. One of the reasons for this is because banks typically loan money to middle class people based on their gross income, not on their net income. And as a result, the middle class become extremely indebted to things with no exit out of that cycle. This is one of the reasons why the middle class live like the rich, but are economically like the poor. This group in the middle, which almost everybody is in, 70% of households in America are in it, and the 29% are trying to get in it, when all of us should be getting out of it. Okay, we should be pushing out of that. We shouldn't even, your goal, if you make less than $32,000 a year, again, your goal should be to get your behind up here. If you are in the 70%, your goal should be to get your behind up out of there, because there's a squeeze that's being put on you, and it's not good. Fact number 3 about the middle class. Most of the educational and financial information is designed to make you middle class. If you study the school systems, college systems, and financial educational systems, they are overwhelmingly designed to teach you how to become middle class. In other words, they teach you how to get a good paying job, get good interest rates for loans, get good things that make you look rich, and become a slave to that cycle for life. That's fact number 3 about the middle class. Number 4, the middle class are typically book smart, but not business savvy. And there's an arrogance that comes with people who are book smart, but not business savvy. Like, I work with business owners and entrepreneurs every day. That's like my perfect client. An entrepreneur who either wants to start a business or who has a business but don't know how to really properly structure it and integrate the right systems. That's the main work that we do in our company. So I know this to be true. The average middle class person knows how to support the rich but not become rich. This limitation is due to information that may work for them in a profession, but it never works for them in business. That's a fact. Number 5, the middle class is disappearing. Eventually, what is considered to be middle class eventually will categorically become poor class. Period. Like, it's happening right now. I'm telling you. It's happening right now. One of the reasons why it's not commonplace today as of this particular year is because too many economic systems and institutions rely on the existence of this income class. So a lot of people who have political, social, and even racial and financial interests in keeping the middle class where they are, they're not going to talk about how a lot of the middle is becoming poor and how a lot of the middle is already poor. They're not going to talk about that. A politician ain't going to tell you that the 70% of households in America are becoming poor. A politician, somebody who's got a racial agenda, somebody who's got a social agenda, somebody who's got a financial agenda, who uses this income class to get things done, they ain't talking about how to get you to become a one percenter. They don't want you to become a one percenter, because in order for you to become a one percenter, you're probably going to have to learn about creative tax strategies, all the stuff I talk about. You're probably going to have to learn about creative tax strategies, meaning that you're going to have to learn how to use business systems to lower your tax bill and to increase your profits. You're going to probably have to either work for someone who's rich, who can show you the game on how to get richer, even working for them, or you're going to have some type of business system that you parlaying to get to the next level. Like, what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? You definitely not going to get rich making $32,000 or less. You ain't even, most people that's in the middle, they never get rich. I know people that's been making $100,000 a year for the last 20 years and they still live like they broke. It ain't happening. You know why? Because they have no education. They have no financial acumen. They ain't got no business acumen. They know nothing about creative tax strategies. They don't know anything about financial literacy on a wealth level. We're not talking about just the everyday Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey information. We're talking about things that get you out of trying to save $20 because you don't drink coffee, or, don't take a shorter route to work so you don't use all your gas, and, breathe 5 times instead of breathing 10 times. Man, ain't nobody got time to be living their life in limitations. Some of us want to be great. Some of us want to be extremely successful. And some of us got a lot of people we want to help. But if you're in the middle, you're being sandwiched. You being sandwiched, bruh. Sis, I hope you hear me. You being sandwiched right now. You being sandwiched. Like, I woke up about this thing. I'm telling y'all. The greatest thing, one of the greatest things that could have ever happened to me just within the last 20 years of being an entrepreneur and seeing some level of success with the first 14 years was what happened to me in 2017 when I had this eye-opening epiphany that I don't supposed to be in the middle. I don't supposed to be happy and satisfied and enthused about making $125,000 a year or 150 or 160. And when I got it, I was like, oh, shoot, I don't know enough to be in the green. I got to reset my whole mind. I got to get rid of a whole lot of garbage. I've got to let go of any environmental, any spiritual, any social, any racial, any political, any educational, any personal limitations that I have that have kept me in these two categories. And then I've got to get new information so that I can become a 1%er. All right. And so that journey for me to get in the green, it started literally, the switch was flipped for me in 2017. So that was what, 6 years ago? The switch flipped. And then within the first couple of years, I started like resetting my whole life, reorganizing my organization, rebranding myself. Like I had to redo everything. I had to relocate. I had to move to a different area in Atlanta. I moved to Buckhead. So I gave up a lot of friends, I didn't have a lot of friends, but just some acquaintances and people that I was around. I had to give them those little circles up because I was like, no, bro, I'm not finna be a prisoner here for the next 30 years. What we ain't finna do is be stuck here. So let me give you these 5 facts. This is the 5 final facts about the upper class. Number 1, the upper class is more of a discipline than an income class. So when you look at this group of people here, again, outside of the political, the social, and the racial issues that we don't control, that we didn't create, because I know some of you woke folk gonna watch this video and be like, yeah, but you trying to dismiss what politicians and what the white man and what the system. No, I'm not trying to dismiss that. Whoever you are that may say that, I'm not dismissing that. What I'm saying to you is I'm living proof that even in the midst of social, racial, and political limitations, you can still control the doggone narrative of your personal life, your environmental life, your professional life, and your financial life. I've proven that. And I didn't have a handout from somebody in the system. Nobody who had any pull in any of those areas or infrastructures co-signed for me. I had to figure it out. I had to educate myself. I had to work my way through a system and infrastructure that may have been designed to keep me below here, but I decided to control the narrative of my life and get in the green. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? All right. So one of the most common comparisons of the upper class is that they are extremely disciplined people when it comes to business and finances. Like every millionaire that I personally met or that I personally know, or anybody that I personally know who's in the 1%, they are extremely disciplined people. They're disciplined. They probably study every day, train every day, wake up at a certain time. They probably have a religious regimen. They're probably not around certain kind of people. They're probably in the right rooms. Like they're disciplined. And that's not just a income class, that's a discipline. Fact number 2 about the upper class. The upper class, or the 1%, they typically spend passive income for luxuries. That's so hard, man. That's hard to do. I ain't got there yet. Listen to what I said. The upper class typically spends passive income for luxuries. That's very hard. So what that means is if you make an active income, you're converting that active income into some asset, whether it's the asset of a piece of real estate or some investment or a business, and you're waiting for the passive income, the new kind of money to come back around. And that's what the upper class typically spend their money on when they buy luxuries. While the poor class and middle class spend all their earned income on luxuries, the upper class, they use leverage, they use assets, they use investments to create passive income for luxuries. Do you get what that means? If you don't, you just need to educate yourself. Fact number three, the upper class are some of the most generous people on the planet. This is a fact. The upper class are some of the most generous people on the planet. Poor people and middle class people think upper class people are stingy and snobby. They are actually very generous to their families, their churches, their communities, and the world. The upper class know how to use different vehicles to distribute their generosity. They're some of the most generous people on the planet. Fact number 4 about upper class people. The higher the upper class you go, the more systems you need. I'm learning that lesson big this year. Systems are by far the difference or the biggest differentiator of the stages within the upper class. For example, an executive can become upper class by making $400,000 a year in a corporate position. But an investor in that same company can generate $40 million in dividends from their stock investments. It's the same company, two different people play two different roles. One gets $400,000 a year as a corporate executive. The other one gets $40 million a year in dividends. Because the higher the upper class you go, the more systems you need. So you have to look at systems and processes and people and automations and scalable things that can expand your revenue, your income, your net worth, your enterprise value. Fact number 5, the upper class are almost never satisfied. This is not because they are selfish people. It's actually because they typically possess obsessive convictions to help so many people change the world. Listen, if you didn't get all of the facts that I just shared with you about the poor, the middle, and the upper class, what you need to do is you need to save and archive this show. You need to take some time to really go back through each of these facts, and you need to work on figuring out what do you need to do to get out of the red, to get out of the yellow, and to get into the green. And I'm gonna tell you now, one of the things that you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to admit that wherever you are financially, wherever you are personally, wherever you are professionally in your business or in your career is associated to what you know and what you don't know. So that means you have to admit that, and then you have to accept whatever help, whatever education, whatever support and mentorship and coaching that you need to really get to that next personal, that next professional, that next financial level. And most likely, you won't do this just by browsing the internet. That really doesn't work. I'm a self-educator. I got to a certain point in my business, in my entrepreneurship, in my finances, that I realized I can only take me so far, even with all the self-education, even with my gifted ability to process information and data and understand it and implement it and execute it, and the grind and the hustle and the grit that I got in me, it still had a limitation. I reached a certain point, and I did this like on a whole nother level a couple years ago when I decided, you know what, I need to join a community. I need to find a mentor. I need to align myself with people. And I really need to get around those who are so far beyond me that it makes me where I am feel uncomfortable no matter how good my life is. And that was a major, major transition for me. Because remember, I told you, 2017, that was 6 years ago, was when I had the eye-opening epiphany that I needed to get out of the middle class. Making $100 and something thousand a year was like chump change compared to what I needed to do for me and for my family. And when I had that conversation with my wife 6 years ago, we decided to move and relocate to Buckhead, Atlanta. We decided to reorganize our organization, to rebrand ourselves, to reset everything in our lives, to get rid of all these liabilities that were just keeping us imprisoned in this income class. And we decided that we was going to be wealthy. We decided that we were not going to stop. I remember my wife and I, we moved and we landed. We went from a 4,000 square foot home, 3 floors, 2 acres, to like a 800 square foot condo here in Buckhead, a 1-bedroom condo. And we had 2 cars, we went down to 1. Like, we just reset our whole life, right? And I remember me and my wife, we sat down and we had this powwow talk about, okay, what we gonna do, how we gonna do it, and we were just scrapping every day. And I remember my wife and I, we both like agreed that, you know what, we're not going to leave this condo until we are categorically millionaires, until we're in that 1% solid with consistent income and revenue, with savings and assets that probably exceed $1 million. In our minds, our target was like, we need to have an empire that's worth at least $1 million before we leave this 1-bedroom condo. That was 6 years ago, okay? And for the last 6 years, every year, we've continued to grow personally, we've continued to grow professionally, we've continued to grow financially. And that is what got us out of maybe a couple $100,000 of debt. That's what got us debt free, financially free. That's what pushed us to the 1%. That's what has created an organizational enterprise that's definitely worth probably a couple $1 million. And that's what got us in 2023 right here, looking into the end of this year, because our next goal is to create and become a $10 million company. And guess what? We have a staff, we're still growing, we're expanding every day, we're reinvesting a lot of our money back into ourselves, into our business. And so if you know you don't want to be here, you don't want to be in this income class, you don't want to be in the yellow income class, okay, what you gonna do about it? You think you're gonna Google your way to the green? It don't work like that. I'm a witness. It ain't working like that. You think you're going to YouTube your way to the green? You think you're going to follow the top 25 social media influencers and somehow you're going to magically wake up one day and you a millionaire? It don't work like that. What you have to do is find and align yourself with someone or people in a community that can push you and educate you and train you and hold you accountable to get from wherever you are to where you want to be. So with that being said, all of you that have heard me talk about this special offer for our 1-year Millionaire Mentorship program, this offer is coming to an end. We're not going to continue to offer this 1-year Millionaire Mentorship program for this price. It's a 1-year coaching and consulting program. We provide a host of different benefits in this program. It's typically $3,500. We discounted it for the past few weeks to $2,497. So that's $2,497. $2,497 one-time payment, or you could pay monthly payments of $247 for the entire year. We give you 1-year access to all of our educational content in our Millionaire Blueprint so that you can learn how to properly start and structure your holding company. You can learn the fundamentals of sales and marketing and financial systems and operational systems. We show you how to integrate them into your business. We teach you goal setting, real estate investing. Our Millionaire Blueprint is a very comprehensive educational program. It's going to take you a lot of time, probably the entire year, if not longer, to get through all of the content that we've put together to show you how to build a 7-figure company. That's why it's called the Millionaire Blueprint. So our mentorship program provides 1-year access to our Millionaire Blueprint, weekly coaching calls. We give you 6 VIP tickets to 6 of our signature events. We have workshops for sales and marketing, financial systems, operations. We have a coaching workshop to show you how to build your coaching business. We even have a business incubator training where we show you how to create a general operating system for all of your entities if you have multiple entities, and we show you how to run your organizational enterprise. So I would love to speak with all of you. I lost a little bit of my presentation on my board. I had it on some of my pages, and I lost it because I was in here taping for some new courses last night. So I'm not able to give you like a thorough presentation, but if you're interested in being coached, you've listened to me enough, you know that you like what you hear and you believe and trust that I can assist you to get to your next level financially and professionally in your business, all you have to do is just reach out to us. You can literally text the word mentor to 678-276-8253. The good thing is most of you that watch me on a day-to-day basis, or maybe you watch me regularly enough, you've heard me give different presentations. You're probably familiar with all the information on our platform. You are always free, if you just don't know enough, to go to Ramonepreston.com. And there you will see everything we offer in our company. We have a consulting division. We have a coaching division with our Millionaire Mentorship coaching program. We have a Millionaire Blueprint, which is our online educational program. And we have other programs and services and products and courses that we provide to our students and to our clients in our community. So you can always just visit Ramonepreston.com, take a look. But if you have any questions and you just want to know more information and speak to a real person, you could just text the word mentor to 678-276-8253. We'll reach back out to you. We'll share more information with you about our program. We'll answer any question that you might have, and we can get you signed up and onboarded. You're not going to find a program that provides this much education, this much training on how to start and structure a business, on how to properly position yourself in that business, on how to price and package your products for that business, on how to integrate systems and processes for that business. You're just not gonna find, I know you're not. I study my competition, and I know people who are in a similar space as I am, they don't provide nowhere near the things that we provide. We have clients who are in our one-year mentorship program who have told us in their assessments, we've seen it on their forms, who have told us in their assessment forms and in person that they have, let's see here, you say you want me to pin that? We have people who have, who have been a part of other mentorship programs or coaching programs with some of the internet gurus, and many of them have told us that some of them, they learned a little bit, but not as much as they've learned from us. And a lot of them have told us it's like night and day just because of how much we offer. We give you education for a year. We give you coaching sessions weekly for a year. We give you at least 6 live events that you can come to so that we can help polish up your sales, systems and processes, your marketing, your financials, your operations. We can help you put your coaching business together, show you how to create educational content, and we show you how to run a real organizational enterprise. So we appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining the show today. I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. We'll be back to close this week out, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow right here on the Ramon Preston Show. Until